joined now by the bipartisan duo pushing the Trump administration to release the Epstein files. Republican Congressman Tom Massie of Kentucky and Democratic Congressman Khanna of California. Congressman Massie, let me start with you. You are co-sponsoring this bill to force the release of these files. Why? What does your bill do exactly, and why now?
It would force a full release of the files. It has the force of law. It's not a subpoena. It's not a pretty please, would you release the files? It's the force of law. And it's got protections to redact victims' names and to prevent, release of child pornography. Why are we doing it now? Because it wasn't until now that I realized how insincere the people working on this were. I mean, they've told us all along that we were going to get these files, and then only recently did we find out they're not going to release the files.
So, Congressman Khanna, let me ask you a really basic question on this. Why are Democrats suddenly interested in the Epstein case? I mean, did you ask the Biden Justice Department to release these files?
It's not a sudden interest. Actually, the former chair, Elijah Cummings, had an investigation starting in 2019, and I have tweeted out supporting that back in 2019. We have been pushing for transparency. During the Biden administration, both in 2021 and 2024, the court ordered release of documents, but Donald Trump raised the stakes, and he did it in a way in the campaign that was justified. He said, look, when I get there, I'm going to release the files. Pam Bondi says there's a client list, and she says, no, it's just the files. She's going to release them. I didn't criticize them at all those first few months. But when they refused to release the files, when they said there's nothing more to see, that's when we said transparency demands the full release of the files.
Yeah, and what is going on in the administration on this, Congressman Massie? I mean, they devoted, we talked earlier, about 1,000 FBI, DOJ personnel working on this, all this talk of releasing it, and then suddenly the president's out referring to it as a hoax and saying nobody cares.
Well, I don't think it's a hoax at all. It's emblematic of the promise that President Trump brought with him to the White House, how he energized so many people who had checked out of the political system. He was going to be the guy who holds all the rich and powerful and politically connected people accountable, and that's why there's so much disappointment right now. I don't think the president himself is particularly implicated in these files. There have been some theories that that's the case, but I do think he has friends who may be embarrassed by the release of these files, and the release of these files may not implicate them. It may just be embarrassment, but for some reason, he's decided to do a 180 on this.
Now, there was this story in the Wall Street Journal about a birthday message that the journal reports that Trump wrote to Epstein for his 50th birthday, as part of a book of messages. Obviously, the president denies that he did this. He's suing the Wall Street Journal over it. But would you support something that Congressman Khanna has been calling for, which is pressing the estate of Jeffrey Epstein, subpoenaing the estate to turn that book over?
Well, I think we should get a lot more than just the book. Let's get the financial records of the estate. Follow the money, as they say up here. We should look at the plea bargain, open that up, see what was the deal that was cut. I think there's a lot more than just that letter, but that letter is also sort of representative of something that's embarrassing but not illegal. Another reason why these files may be sealed and stay sealed. But we're going to force a vote on this when we get back from the August recess. Khanna and I are using a procedure in the House called a discharge petition, whereby if we get 218 votes, and we're well on our way to that, 218 signatures, then we can force the vote.
So you're just going to need a couple more Republicans to sign that if Democrats go along. Are you going to get that?
If every Democrat signs this, I've already got 12 Republican co-sponsors, and I only need 6 to sign it.
But will they sign? I mean, will they? Because that's taking control of the House schedule away from the Speaker.
I think the pressure is going to build over August recess. I don't think it's going to dissipate like the Speaker hopes that it will. And if merely just half the people who've co-sponsored this legislation follow through and sign it, then it's going to come to the floor for a vote.
So Congressman Khanna, we had this rather extraordinary visit to Florida of Todd Blanche to meet with Ghislaine Maxwell. Do you agree with those who say that she should testify, wanting her to testify before Congress?
I do. I have skepticism, given she was indicted of perjury, given she has a motive. for getting a pardon. I didn't love that Todd Blanche was meeting with her allegedly one-on-one, but I'm for all the evidence coming out. It's important, though, that this is not something that is anti-President Trump. This is for transparency. I'm less concerned about his mentions. I'm much more concerned about the hundreds of people who were powerful and rich who had impunity, and I'm concerned about restoring justice for the victims. He promised to expose this. I think the American people don't think he's a perfect person. They thought he was going to expose a system that wasn't working for them, and that's really what this is about.
What would be the reaction if he actually went through and did some form of clemency, granted some form of clemency to Ghislaine Maxwell? Congressman Khanna?
Well, I think people would say, why is he doing that? And can we really believe Maxwell's testimony? I mean, I don't love the broad pardon power in the first place. I think it has been abused. I think at this point, though, what the American people desperately need is for all of the evidence of the files to come out so they can decide for themselves. So they're not relying on Maxwell. So they're not relying on even congressional committees. Let the American people decide.
And how would you react to a pardon or clemency?
I don't think she deserves that or needs that. I mean, she's guilty of crimes, but it's hard to believe that she herself and Epstein did these crimes by themselves, right? Yeah. So it's time to find out who else was involved. And I agree with Roe here. The bank records don't lie. The documents don't lie. They don't change. The plea bargains that have been sealed don't lie. Let's release those.
Before you go, I want to look at how Speaker Johnson has reacted to what you are doing on this, trying to force a vote to release the records. Here's just some of what Johnson said this week about you.
I say Thomas Massie is the one trying to bite Republicans, okay? I'm not quite certain what his strategy is. I don't understand Thomas Massie's motivation. I really don't. I don't know how his mind works. I don't know what he's thinking. Thomas Massie could have brought his discharge petition any time over the last 4.5 years. Over the last 4 years of the Biden administration.
And he also said, bless your heart.
Yeah.
So how do you respond to that? And he's making he's asking a variation of the question I asked Congressman Khanna. It's like, you know, why didn't you try to do this 4 years ago?
Well, like Khanna said, you know, I've got evidence of tweets where I've been asking for these things before. The question is, why isn't Mike Johnson having this vote? Why did he send us home early? And he talks about political pain for Republicans as if by invoking transparency and inflicting pain. That should be very telling. What is painful about having this vote? I'll tell you what's politically going to be a liability is if we don't vote on this and we go into the midterms and everybody becomes, you know, they just check out because Republicans didn't keep their promise in Donald Trump. We'll lose the majority. By the way, they're also running $1.8 million of ads against me. Republicans for bringing measures like this to the floor.
All right, Congressman Massie, Congressman Khanna, bipartisanship here on This Week. Thank you both very much.